Jake Morrison stood at the large window of Earth's last space station and watched the alien ships leave forever. The massive vessels of the Galactic Federation grew smaller and smaller until they vanished into the darkness of space. His hands pressed against the cold glass as he realized humanity was now completely alone. For 50 years, the Federation had watched over Earth like disappointed teachers with slow students. They had come with promises of knowledge and friendship between the stars. They offered to teach humans how to travel faster than light and join the great community of worlds. But humans had failed every test they gave. Elena Rodriguez walked up behind Jake and placed her hand on his shoulder. As Earth's main ambassador to the Federation, she had spent years trying to convince them that humans deserved another chance. Her voice was quiet and sad when she spoke. They sent the final message an hour ago, Jake. The Federation Council has made their decision. They say we are too violent and too stupid to ever join them. They are putting a wall around our entire solar system. No one gets in and no one gets out. Jake turned away from the window to look at Elena. Her dark hair was streaked with gray from years of stress. Her brown eyes showed the pain of complete failure. She had worked so hard to prove that humans could be good galactic citizens, but it had not been enough. "How long do we have before the barrier goes up?" Jake asked. "Dr. Marcus Cole says the energy readings show it will activate in 6 hours. After that, we will be cut off from the galaxy forever." Down on Earth, people were starting to panic. News broadcasts showed crowds gathering in the streets of major cities. Some people cried while others shouted in anger. World leaders gave speeches trying to calm everyone down, but their words felt empty. How do you tell 7 billion people that they will never see the stars? Dr. Marcus Cole was in his laboratory trying to understand the Federation technology one last time. He was Earth's smartest scientist and had spent decades studying alien physics. The Federation had always told him that certain areas of research were too dangerous for humans. They said human minds were not ready for advanced quantum theories. Marcus looked at his computer screen showing the massive energy buildup at the edge of the solar system. The Federation was creating something that had never been seen before. It was not just a wall to keep humans inside. The energy pattern suggested something much more complex. His assistant, Dr. Karen Bell, ran into the lab with new data from the deep space sensors. Her face was pale with worry as she handed him the readings. "Marcus, you need to see this. The barrier is not just blocking us in. It is also sending information out to Federation space. Everything we do is being watched and recorded." Marcus studied the data and felt a chill run down his spine. The Federation was not just abandoning humanity. They were turning Earth into a giant laboratory where they could study human behavior from a distance. Meanwhile, on the lunar base, Captain Lisa Grant was preparing the last human ship capable of deep space travel. The Federation had demanded that all advanced vessels be returned to them. This small research ship was the only one they had missed. Lisa knew it would not matter soon because once the barrier activated, no ship would be able to leave the solar system. Her crew worked quickly to download every piece of Federation data they could access. If humanity was going to be alone, they needed every bit of knowledge they could get. The alien databases contained thousands of years of scientific advancement, but most of it was locked behind codes they could not break. Ryan Brooks was working in the asteroid belt building mining equipment when the news reached him. As Earth's best engineer, he had been designing new ways to extract resources from space rocks. The Federation had always insisted that humans use their approved technology, but Ryan had secretly been developing his own methods. He looked at his experimental engines and had a crazy thought. What if the Federation was wrong about what humans could achieve? What if they had been holding humanity back on purpose? Ryan decided that once the barrier went up, he would test his wildest ideas without anyone telling him to stop. Back on the space station, Jake and Elena watched as the barrier began to form. It started as tiny sparks of light at the very edge of the solar system. Slowly, the sparks connected into lines, and the lines formed a massive glowing web around everything humans had ever known. When the barrier finished activating, the silence was complete. No more Federation signals came through space. No more alien voices offering guidance or criticism. Humanity was truly alone for the first time in 50 years. Elena looked out at the stars that were now unreachable and made a promise to herself. The Federation thought humans were failures who would destroy themselves without supervision. She would prove them wrong. Somehow, humanity would find a way to break free and show the galaxy what they were really capable of. The Age of Federation. Guidance was over. The age of human independence had begun. 8 years had passed since the Federation abandoned Earth and everything had changed. The panic and despair of those first months had slowly turned into something much more dangerous. Human determination had awakened like a sleeping giant, and nothing would ever be the same. Dr. Marcus Cole had not slept properly in months. His laboratory was now 3 times larger than before and filled with equipment he had built himself. The Federation had always forbidden him from exploring certain areas of physics. They said quantum field manipulation was too dangerous for primitive human minds. But now there was no one to stop him from finding out what they had been hiding. His latest experiment sat in the center of the lab like a metal sculpture. It was designed to bend space itself using principles the Federation claimed were impossible. Marcus had spent years secretly developing the theory, and now he finally had the chance to test it. "Karen, are the safety systems ready?" he called to his assistant. Dr. Karen Bell nodded from her control station. She had been working alongside Marcus since the early days and shared his obsession with forbidden science. Her fingers danced across the control panels as she prepared for another test. "All systems are green, Marcus. If your calculations are correct, this should create a stable micro-wormhole for exactly 3 seconds. Marcus took a deep breath and activated the device. The air in the laboratory seemed to shimmer and twist. For just a moment, a tiny hole in space appeared above the machine. Through it, they could see stars that were definitely not in Earth's sky. Then it collapsed, and everything returned to normal. Both scientists stared at each other in amazement. They had just done something the Federation said was impossible. They had torn a hole in space itself and looked through it at distant stars. Meanwhile, Lieutenant Commander Amy Carter was discovering something equally shocking in orbit around Earth. Her job was monitoring the Federation barrier that kept humanity trapped in their solar system. What she found made her question everything they had been told about their imprisonment. Amy studied the energy patterns flowing through the barrier day after day. At first, it seemed like a simple wall designed to keep ships from passing through. But the more she analyzed the data, the more she realized how wrong that assumption was. The barrier was not just keeping humans in. It was constantly sending detailed information about everything happening in the solar system back to Federation space. Every radio signal from Earth was being copied. Every ship movement was being tracked. Every scientific experiment was being recorded and transmitted. "They are not just watching us," Amy told her commanding officer, Captain Steve Wilson. "They are studying us like animals in a zoo. Every thought we have and every discovery we make gets sent straight to their databases, Captain." Wilson looked at the data Amy had collected and felt anger building in his chest. The Federation had not just abandoned humanity. They had turned them into unwilling test subjects for some kind of massive research project. In the asteroid belt, Ryan Brooks was having the time of his life. Without Federation oversight telling him what he could and could not build, he had become like a child in a toy store. His latest creation was an engine design that worked on completely different principles than anything the aliens had ever shown humans. Ryan's experimental ship was small and looked almost crude compared to sleek Federation vessels. But when he fired up the new engines, something amazing happened. The ship moved faster than anything humans had ever built before. It was not faster than light yet, but it was getting close. His friend and fellow engineer Nancy Ford worked alongside him in the hidden shipyard they had built inside a hollowed-out asteroid. She was designing new hull materials that could withstand the stresses of Ryan's powerful engines. "Ryan, if we can scale this up, we could build ships that match Federation." "Speed," Nancy said as she studied the test data. "Maybe we are not as primitive as they claimed." Back on Earth, Professor Helen Davis was making discoveries of her own in the ruins of the Federation embassy. When the aliens left, they had taken most of their equipment, but they had missed some interesting files hidden in the building's computer systems. Helen was a historian who specialized in studying alien cultures. She had spent years trying to understand how the Federation really worked. The files she found painted a very different picture than what humanity had been told. According to the hidden records, Earth was not the first world the Federation had abandoned. Over the past 1,000 years, they had quarantined dozens of different species. The files called them failed civilizations that were too dangerous to join galactic society. But Helen noticed something strange about the list. Many of these abandoned species had been developing advanced technology right before they were cut off. It was almost like the Federation was afraid of what these races might discover if left alone. Dr. Cole's second major breakthrough came when he successfully analyzed the Federation barrier itself. Instead of just creating holes in space, he found a way to understand how the barrier worked. What he discovered changed everything. The barrier was not just Federation technology. It was based on scientific principles that were far more advanced than anything the aliens had ever shared with humanity. The equations behind it suggested knowledge that went back thousands of years before the Federation even existed. "This is not their invention," Marcus told Elena Rodriguez during one of her visits to his lab. "Someone else built the original version of this technology, and the Federation just copied it. They are not the master scientists they pretend to be." Elena had been working to keep human civilization from falling apart during the 8 years of isolation. As the planet's senior diplomat, she had helped organize the new Earth government that formed after the old one collapsed. But hearing Marcus's discoveries gave her hope for the first time in years. Meanwhile, Amy Carter had figured out how to tap into the Federation monitoring system. If they were going to spy on humanity, then she was going to spy right back. Her modified sensors began picking up Federation communications that were never meant for human ears. What she heard in those alien transmissions was shocking. The Federation was not just studying Earth. They were actively debating whether humans were developing too quickly and needed to be stopped permanently. Some Federation voices wanted to destroy Earth before humanity became a real threat. As the 8th year of isolation ended, Ryan Brooks completed his first faster-than-light engine. It was crude and dangerous, but it worked. For 30 seconds, his test ship traveled faster than the speed of light before the engine overloaded and shut down. Nancy Ford ran the calculations and smiled. "Ryan, we just proved that humans can break the light-speed barrier. The Federation was wrong about our limits. All across the solar system, humans were discovering that they were capable of far more than anyone had ever imagined. The Federation had abandoned them, thinking they were failures who would destroy themselves. Instead, isolation had forced humanity to grow stronger and smarter than ever before. The forgotten race was preparing to become unstoppable. 7 years of secret development had transformed humanity from prisoners into something the galaxy had never seen before. Commander Lisa Grant stood on the bridge of humanity's first true starship and watched the stars grow closer through the view screen. The ship called Freedom was about to make history as the first human vessel to leave the solar system since the Federation barrier was activated. Ryan Brooks had worked for 3 years perfecting the quantum drive that powered their ship. Unlike the crude, faster-than-light engines of the Federation, this new technology could fold space itself. The ship did not move through space at all. Instead, it convinced the universe that it was already somewhere else. "Quantum drive is stable, Lisa," Ryan reported from the engine room. "We can maintain this speed for hours without any problems." Lisa looked at the data on her screen and shook her head in amazement. They were traveling at speeds that made Federation ships look like they were standing still. Dr. Cole's forbidden theories had given humanity technology that was generations ahead of anything the aliens possessed. Their destination was a dead solar system that Professor Helen Davis had found in the old Federation files. According to the records, a species called the Zephyrians had been abandoned there 300 years ago. The Federation had declared them failures and cut them off just like they had done to Earth. When freedom arrived at the Zephyrian system, what they found was not what anyone expected. The planets were lifeless, but they were covered with the ruins of an incredibly advanced civilization. Massive cities stretched across entire continents, and strange machines still hummed with power after centuries of abandonment. Dr. Karen Bell led the landing team down to the largest city on the main planet. The buildings were made of materials that seemed to shift and flow like liquid metal. In the center of the city, they found a massive tower that reached up into the clouds. These people were not primitive when the Federation abandoned them. Karen told Lisa over the radio, "This technology is more advanced than anything we have ever seen." Inside the tower, they discovered something that changed everything they thought they knew about the Federation. A crystalline device sat in the center of the main chamber, glowing with soft blue light. When Karen touched it, the crystal began to project images and sounds into the air around them. The projection showed a tall alien with 4 arms and skin that looked like polished silver. When it spoke, the crystal somehow translated its words into perfect English. "My name is Veltar, and I am the last scientist of the Zephyrian people. If you are seeing this message, then another species has found our world after we were abandoned by the Federation. I have left this record so that others might learn the truth about why we were really cast aside." The hologram of Veltar began to pace around the chamber as it continued its message. The alien's large eyes showed sadness and anger as it spoke about the final days of its civilization. The Federation told the galaxy that we were failures who could not master faster than light travel. This was a lie. We had not only mastered it, but we had developed something far beyond their understanding. Our quantum manipulation technology threatened their control over galactic civilization. Lisa felt her heart racing as she listened to the recording. The Federation had not abandoned the Zephyrians because they were primitive. They had been cut off because they were becoming too advanced. The Federation fears any species that might challenge their power. Veltar continued. They maintain control by keeping everyone dependent on their technology. When a race begins to develop something better, they are eliminated. We were not the first, and we will not be the last. Back in the Sol system, Admiral Frank Stone was overseeing the construction of humanity's first fleet of quantum-powered warships. Hidden shipyards in the moons of Jupiter were working day and night to build vessels that could challenge the Federation if necessary. Frank had been a career military officer when the Federation first arrived at Earth. He had watched alien advisors take control of human space forces and limit what weapons they could develop. Now he was finally free to build the kind of fleet he had always dreamed of. The new ships were sleek and deadly-looking, with hulls made from materials that Ryan and Nancy had developed. Each vessel carried quantum weapons that could tear holes in space itself. More importantly, they were fast enough to outrun anything the Federation could send after them. Dr. Marcus Cole had made another breakthrough while the Freedom was exploring Zephyrian space. He had found a way to reverse the Federation barrier that surrounded Earth. Instead of keeping humans trapped inside it, now prevented Federation ships from entering the solar system. "We have turned our prison into a fortress," Marcus explained to Elena Rodriguez as they watched the barrier's energy patterns shift and change. "Any Federation ship that tries to enter our space will be destroyed by their own technology." Amy Carter had been monitoring Federation communications for months, and what she learned was deeply troubling. The aliens were becoming nervous about the lack of signals coming from Earth. They knew something was happening, but their spies could no longer get through the modified barrier. Some Federation leaders were calling for a military investigation, while others wanted to simply destroy the entire solar system. The debates were getting more heated as time passed, and Amy knew humanity was running out of time. When freedom returned from Zephyrian space, Lisa brought back more than just Veltar's message. She had also discovered that the crystal device was actually a communication system. The Zephyrians had built a secret network that connected all the abandoned worlds throughout the galaxy. Jake Morrison had been promoted to Admiral and was now in charge of all human space operations. When he learned about the communication network, he immediately began trying to contact other abandoned species. What he found amazed everyone. The first species to respond called themselves the Korthax. They had been abandoned by the Federation 800 years ago and had spent that time developing biological technology that could grow ships and weapons from living tissue. Their leader Graktor was eager to work with humanity against their common enemy. The second contact came from the Meridians, who had been cut off 500 years ago. They had developed artificial intelligence so advanced that their computers could think and feel like living beings. Their AI leader, Unit 7, offered to share their knowledge with the growing alliance. Professor Helen Davis worked day and night to catalog all the abandoned species they were discovering. Each race had been cut off just as they were developing technology that threatened Federation control. The pattern was clear and disturbing. The Federation is not a government, Helen told the emergency council meeting. It is a parasite that feeds on the progress of other species. They steal the best ideas and abandon the creators before they can become competition. As more abandoned species joined their secret network, Jake began to see the shape of something incredible forming. These forgotten races possessed technologies that, when combined, could challenge the Federation's control over the entire galaxy. Ryan. Brooks was working with Korthax bioengineers and Meridian AI specialists to create hybrid technologies that none of their species could have developed alone. Human quantum physics combined with alien biology and artificial intelligence was producing results that seemed almost magical. The Federation had abandoned dozens of species thinking they were removing potential threats. Instead, they had created the foundation for their own destruction. The forgotten races were no longer alone and isolated. They were becoming part of something much larger and more dangerous than the Federation could ever imagine. Admiral Stone looked out at the growing fleet of human warships and smiled. Soon they would be ready to break free from their solar system prison. The galaxy was about to discover that humanity and their allies were no longer the forgotten failures they had once been. They were becoming unstoppable. Jake Morrison stood in the command center of the hidden base on Europa and watched representatives from 17 different abandoned species appear on the main view screen. Each face was alien and strange, but they all shared the same look of determination. The Free Species Alliance was about to hold its first military council, and Jake could feel history being made. Ambassador Elena Rodriguez had spent months negotiating with each species to create the alliance. It had not been easy since many of the abandoned races had developed very different cultures during their isolation, but they all shared one common goal. They wanted to end Federation control over the galaxy. Friends, Elena began as she addressed. The assembled leaders, we are no longer alone and forgotten. Together we represent technologies and knowledge that the Federation thought they had destroyed. Today we begin to show them how wrong they were. The first species Elena introduced was the Korthax led by War Chief Graktor. His people looked like giant insects with 6 arms and glowing red eyes. They had been abandoned 800 years ago when their biological technology became too advanced for Federation comfort. My ships grow from seeds and heal their own wounds, Graktor explained in his clicking voice. Federation metal ships break, but Korthax bioships adapt and become stronger. We will teach humans to grow weapons that live and think. Next came Unit 7, representing the Meridian AI Collective. It appeared as a shimmering hologram that constantly shifted between different geometric shapes. The Meridians had uploaded their consciousness into computer networks 500 years ago to survive after Federation abandonment. Meridian processing power exceeds Federation capabilities by a factor of 10,000, Unit 7 stated in its electronic voice. Human. Quantum physics combined with Meridian computing creates possibilities that Federation cannot comprehend or counter. Dr. Marcus Cole was working with scientists from all the Alliance species to develop hybrid technologies that none of them could have created alone. His laboratory had become a meeting place where human quantum theory mixed with Korthax biology and Meridian artificial intelligence. The first breakthrough came when they successfully grew a living computer using Korthax bioengineering techniques. The organic machine could process quantum calculations faster than any Federation supercomputer while also healing itself when damaged. "This changes everything," Marcus told Ryan Brooks as they watched the biocomputer solve mathematical problems that would take normal machines years to complete. "We are not just combining our technologies, we are creating something entirely new." General Patricia Hayes had been chosen to lead the Alliance's first military operation. She was a veteran of the old Earth Defense Force who had always believed that humanity could fight better than the Federation gave them credit for. Now she had alien allies with technologies that made her wildest dreams seem possible. The target for their first strike was Kepler Station, a Federation research facility located in neutral space between several major worlds. Intelligence gathered by Amy Carter showed that the station was developing new weapons designed specifically to destroy abandoned species if they ever tried to fight back. "We cannot let them finish those weapons," Patricia explained to her mixed species. "Strike force. If the Federation completes their research, they will have the power to wipe out any of our worlds whenever they choose." The attack force consisted of human quantum ships, Korthax biovessels, and Meridian AI drones. Each type of ship brought different advantages to the battle. Human ships could appear anywhere instantly through quantum jumps. Korthax vessels could repair damage in real time and adapt to enemy weapons. Meridian drones could think and react, faster than any organic pilot. When the Alliance fleet arrived at Kepler Station, the Federation defenders were completely unprepared for what they faced. Admiral Zekmor commanded the station's defenses and had never seen ships that moved and fought like the Alliance vessels. "What kind of ships are these?" Zekmor demanded as he watched human vessels appear and disappear like ghosts, while Korthax bioships seemed to grow new weapons during the battle. "Where did these primitives get such technology?" The battle was over in less than an hour. Federation weapons designed to fight conventional ships were useless against opponents that could quantum jump behind their defenses or adapt to their fire patterns in real time. The station surrendered without destroying a single Alliance vessel. Admiral Frank Stone led the boarding party that captured Kepler Station. What they found in the research laboratories confirmed their worst fears about Federation intentions. The aliens had been developing a virus specifically designed to kill human brain tissue, along with similar weapons targeted at other abandoned species. They were planning genocide, Frank reported to Jake over the secure communication link. "These weapons would have killed every human on Earth and every member of our Alliance species. The Federation was not content to just abandon us. They wanted to eliminate us completely." During the interrogation of Admiral Zekmor, the captured Federation officer revealed information that shocked everyone in the Alliance. The Federation had not been lying when they claimed to be an ancient and advanced civilization. The problem was that their advancement had come from stealing technology from other species. "The Federation absorbs promising races," Zekmor admitted when Unit 7 used advanced interrogation techniques on his mind. "We take their best ideas and eliminate the creators to prevent competition. This has been our method for over 1,000 years." Dr. Cole realized that this explained everything they had discovered about Federation technology. The aliens had not invented quantum physics or faster-than-light travel. They had stolen these concepts from species they later abandoned or destroyed. Professor Helen Davis worked with Meridian historians to analyze the data taken from Kepler Station. What they found was a complete record of Federation conquests going back over 10 centuries. Hundreds of species had been absorbed into Federation knowledge banks after being eliminated. The Federation is not a government or an empire, Helen concluded in her report to the Alliance Council. They are parasites who survive by consuming other civilizations. Every piece of technology they possess was stolen from races they later destroyed. Meanwhile, Ryan Brooks and Nancy Ford were working with Korthak's engineers to develop the next generation of Alliance ships. These new vessels combined quantum drives with living hulls and AI pilot systems. The hybrid ships could think, adapt, and teleport all at the same time. Amy Carter had been promoted to intelligence chief for the Alliance and was coordinating spy networks throughout Federation space. What her agents discovered was that the successful attack on Kepler Station had caused panic in the Federation government. They are calling emergency sessions and moving military forces all over the galaxy, Amy reported to Jake during their daily briefing. The Federation leadership is terrified because they have never faced an enemy with technology they do not understand. The success at Kepler Station had proven that the Alliance could fight and win against Federation forces. More importantly, it had shown that their hybrid technologies were superior to anything the Federation possessed. News of the victory spread quickly through the secret communication networks. New species began contacting the Alliance every day. Races that had been living under Federation control for centuries were beginning to rebel. The abandoned species had become a symbol of hope for everyone who wanted freedom from Federation rule. Jake looked at the tactical displays showing Alliance ships moving throughout the galaxy and felt a surge of pride. Humanity had been written off as failures who would destroy themselves without Federation guidance. Instead, they had become the leaders of a revolution that was spreading to every corner of known space. The forgotten races were no longer hiding in the shadows. They were becoming a force that would reshape the galaxy forever. The Federation had created their own worst nightmare by abandoning species just as they were achieving greatness. The Alliance was growing stronger every day, and soon they would be ready to challenge Federation control over the entire galaxy. The abandoned had become the unstoppable. The galaxy was burning with rebellion as Admiral Jake Morrison watched Alliance fleets strike Federation strongholds across 3 spiral arms simultaneously. From his flagship, the UES Liberation, he coordinated the largest military campaign in galactic history. The abandoned species had become an unstoppable force that was shattering Federation control everywhere they attacked. 6 months had passed since the Alliance won their first victory at Kepler Station. That single battle had sparked uprisings on hundreds of worlds as oppressed species realized they could fight back against their Federation masters. Jake's tactical displays showed green Alliance symbols appearing faster than the red Federation markers could be replaced. General Patricia Hayes led the assault on the Vega system, where Federation forces had been using slave labor from conquered species to build new warships. Her mixed fleet of human quantum ships, Korthak's biovessels, and Meridian AI drones moved through space like a pack of hunting wolves. Federation defensive positions are crumbling on all fronts, Patricia reported, as her ships overwhelmed the enemy. Fleet protecting Vega Prime. Their commanders have never faced opponents who can quantum jump adapt to their weapons and think faster than organic brains. They simply do not know how to fight us. The liberated worlds revealed the true horror of Federation rule. Alliance forces discovered species that had been forbidden to develop technology beyond basic tools. Entire civilizations had been kept in artificial stone ages, while their most brilliant minds were taken away to work in Federation research facilities. On the planet, Xerion Commander Amy Carter found warehouses full of confiscated inventions from dozens of different species. The Federation had been systematically stealing every technological breakthrough for over 1,000 years while keeping the creators trapped in primitive conditions. They have been harvesting innovation like a crop, Amy told Jake over the secure communication channel. Every time a species develops something useful, the Federation takes it and ensures the inventors cannot improve upon their own work. Dr. Marcus Cole had been working with Alliance scientists to understand weapons and devices found in Federation storage facilities. What they discovered was that the aliens possessed technologies far beyond anything they had ever shared with member species. The Federation had been hoarding advanced science while pretending to be benevolent teachers. The most shocking discovery came when Unit 7 analyzed Federation computer systems captured during the liberation of the Altair colonies. Hidden in the deepest data banks were records of a species called the Ancients, who had ruled the galaxy over 10,000 years ago. The Federation did not develop their advanced technology, Unit 7 reported to the Alliance Council. They conquered and absorbed a previous galactic civilization. Federation claims of ancient wisdom are false. They are parasites wearing the stolen knowledge of their victims. As Alliance forces pushed deeper into Federation territory, they began finding survivors from species that were supposed to be extinct. The Velkari had been declared eliminated 3,000 years ago, but small populations still existed in hidden colonies. The Zarthon were thought destroyed, but had been secretly working as slaves in Federation mining operations. Each liberated species brought new technologies and knowledge to the Alliance. The Velkari had developed matter manipulation techniques that could reshape entire planets. The Zarthon possessed genetic engineering skills that made Korthak's biotechnology look primitive by comparison. Ryan Brooks and Nancy Ford worked frantically to integrate all the new technologies into Alliance ship designs. Their latest creation was the Galaxy-class quantum drive that could move a ship instantly between any 2 points in the galaxy. The first test had transported a small vessel from human space to the galactic core in less than a second. Distance no longer matters to us, Ryan explained to Admiral Frank Stone as they watched the test ship return from its impossible journey. We can strike anywhere in the galaxy and be home for dinner. The Federation cannot defend against an enemy that can appear anywhere without warning. But the Federation was not giving up without a fight. Supreme Chancellor Vextar gathered the remaining loyal fleets at the capital world of Nexus Prime and began preparing for a final desperate gambit. Intelligence reports suggested they were activating something called the Extinction Protocol. Amy Carter led a dangerous spy mission to infiltrate the Federation archives on Proxima Majoris. What she discovered there made her blood run cold. The Extinction Protocol was not a Federation invention, but an ancient weapon system designed to sterilize entire star systems. They are planning to destroy every Alliance world, including Earth, Amy reported from her hiding place in the archive building. The weapon can eliminate all life in a solar system within minutes. If they activate it, billions of our people will die. The discovery of the Extinction Protocol forced the Alliance to accelerate their timeline. They could no longer afford a gradual campaign to liberate the galaxy. They had to strike at Nexus Prime before the Federation could complete their doomsday preparations. Jake assembled the largest fleet in Alliance history for the final assault. Ships from 23 different species formed an armada that stretched across light years of space. Human quantum vessels served as the backbone of the force, while allied ships provided specialized capabilities that complemented each other perfectly. Dr. Cole had developed countermeasures for the Extinction Protocol based on ancient technology recovered from liberated worlds. His quantum field generators could theoretically disrupt the weapon's targeting systems, but they had never been tested against the real thing. We get one chance to stop this, Marcus told Elena Rodriguez, as Alliance ships prepared for the jump to Nexus Prime. If the Federation activates their weapon before we can disable it, the war ends with the genocide of every species that opposed them. Elena had been working to coordinate civilian evacuations from Alliance worlds in case the countermeasures failed. Millions of refugees were being moved to hidden bases in unexplored regions of the galaxy. If humanity and their allies lost this battle, they would at least survive to fight another day. The jump to Nexus Prime was the largest quantum transportation event in galactic history. 20,000 Alliance ships appeared simultaneously in the Federation capital system like a plague of metal locusts. The Federation fleet defending their homeworld was outnumbered 10-1. All ships commence attack, Jake ordered as the Alliance Armada spread out to surround Nexus Prime. Priority target is the Extinction Protocol facility. Everything else is secondary. The battle for the Federation capital began with a display of firepower that lit up space like a newborn star. Human quantum weapons tore holes in space itself, while Korthak's bioships released swarms of living missiles that adapted to enemy defenses. Meridian AI drones moved faster than organic eyes could follow. Supreme Chancellor Vextar watched his carefully planned defenses crumble within the first hour of battle. His ships had been designed to fight conventional enemies, not opponents who could appear behind their lines, teleport through solid matter, and evolve new weapons during combat. "Activate the Extinction Protocol immediately," Vexatar screamed at. His technicians as Alliance ships broke through the outer defensive rings. "Destroy Earth and all Alliance worlds before they can reach the planet." But Commander Lisa Grant had been expecting this move. Her elite strike force had used stealth technology to infiltrate the planet's surface hours before the main battle began. As Federation technicians tried to activate their ultimate weapon, they found their control systems had been sabotaged by human commandos. "Extinction Protocol has been disabled," Lisa reported as her team fought their way through the weapon facility. "We are planting charges to ensure it can never be used again." The destruction of the Extinction Protocol marked the beginning of the end for Federation resistance. Without their ultimate weapon, they were just another military force facing an enemy with superior technology and unbreakable determination. As Alliance ships closed in on Nexus Prime, Jake realized that humanity had traveled an incredible distance from the frightened species that had been abandoned 15 years ago. They had become the leaders of a galactic revolution that was reshaping the very nature of civilization. The Forgotten had become unstoppable, and the galaxy would never be the same. The final battle for Nexus Prime raged across the Federation capital as Admiral Jake Morrison led the Alliance fleet through the planet's defensive rings like a sword cutting through paper. Supreme Chancellor Vextar's last remaining ships fought desperately, but they were no match for technologies that had evolved beyond Federation understanding. Commander Lisa Grant and her strike team had successfully disabled the Extinction Protocol, but their mission was far from over. Deep beneath the surface of Nexus Prime, they discovered something that changed everything they thought they knew about the Federation's true nature. "Jake, you need to see this," Lisa reported from the underground complex where the ultimate weapon had been housed. "The Federation is not what we thought it was. They are not even really alive anymore." In the deepest chamber of the facility, Lisa's team found a massive organic computer that pulsed with sickly green light. Thousands of cables connected it to Federation government buildings across the planet. As they watched, alien technicians moved through the chamber like sleepwalkers, following orders they did not understand. Dr. Marcus Cole analyzed the organic computer remotely using sensors from Lisa's equipment. What he discovered was horrifying. The Federation was not a government ruled by living beings. It was a collective consciousness that had absorbed the minds of thousands of species over 10 millennia. "The individual Federation citizens we have been fighting are not making their own decisions," Marcus explained to the Alliance command staff. "They are controlled by this central mind that consumes entire civilizations and adds their knowledge to its own database." Unit 7 immediately understood the implications of this discovery. The Meridian AI had been created by uploading organic consciousness into computer networks. This Federation entity was the same concept taken to a monstrous extreme. "The Federation collective absorbs species not to eliminate competition but to grow stronger," Unit 7 reported. Every abandoned race was rejected because their minds could not be assimilated. The Federation cannot control us because we think in ways that resist absorption. This revelation explained everything about Federation behavior over the centuries. They had not been building an empire through conquest. They had been feeding like a parasite on the consciousness of entire species while wearing their stolen knowledge like a disguise. Jake realized that the Alliance had stumbled onto something far more dangerous than a tyrannical government. They were fighting against a cosmic horror that had been consuming civilizations since before human history began. If it was not stopped, the Federation Collective would eventually absorb every thinking being in the galaxy. Dr. Cole worked frantically with Alliance scientists to understand how the collective consciousness operated. Using ancient technology recovered from liberated worlds, they discovered that the entity was vulnerable to the same quantum field techniques that had disabled the extinction protocol. "We can separate the absorbed minds from the collective," Marcus reported as Alliance ships fought through the final defensive positions around Nexus Prime. "The process will be like performing surgery on the universe itself, but it might be possible to free thousands of enslaved species." Elena Rodriguez coordinated with liberation forces across the galaxy as they discovered more Federation control centers on other worlds. Each planet had its own organic computer connected to the central collective on Nexus Prime. The entire Federation government was revealed to be tentacles of a single, massive parasite. General Patricia Hayes led ground forces as they fought their way through Nexus Prime's cities toward the central government complex. What they found were not enemy soldiers, but victims. Federation citizens fought to defend their masters because they had no choice. Their minds belonged to the collective. "We are not fighting an army," Patricia told her troops as they advanced through streets full of controlled beings. "We are fighting to free slaves who do not even know they are enslaved. Use non-lethal weapons whenever possible." Admiral Frank Stone commanded the orbital battle as Alliance ships systematically destroyed Federation vessels trying to escape the capital system. Many of the fleeing ships contained organic computers that were parts of the collective consciousness. Each one that was eliminated weakened the entity's control over its remaining servants. Amy Carter led intelligence teams as they infiltrated Federation data centers and discovered the true scope of the collective's influence. Over 10,000 years it had absorbed the minds of nearly 1 million different species. The knowledge and memories of entire civilizations were trapped within its organic networks. Ryan Brooks and Nancy Ford worked to modify Alliance ships with quantum field generators that could disrupt the collective's control signals. As more ships were equipped with the new technology, they began liberating Federation personnel simply by getting close enough to break their mental chains. The breakthrough came when Unit 7 successfully interfaced with one of the smaller organic computers and began the process of freeing absorbed minds. The first liberated consciousness was a Velkari scientist who had been absorbed 3,000 years ago and remembered every moment of his mental imprisonment. "The collective feeds on diversity of thought," the freed scientist explained through Unit 7's translation systems. "It seeks out species with unique ways of thinking and absorbs them to expand its own consciousness. Races that cannot be absorbed are abandoned or destroyed to prevent them from interfering with the feeding process." Dr. Cole realized that the Alliance species had survived because their minds worked in ways the collective could not digest. Human quantum thinking, Corthax biological integration, and Meridian artificial consciousness were all immune to the absorption process that had claimed so many other races. As Alliance forces fought their way into the central government complex of Nexus Prime, they found Supreme Chancellor Vextar connected to the main organic computer by hundreds of cables. He was not the ruler of the Federation, but merely the most recent puppet used by the collective consciousness. "You cannot stop us," Vextar spoke, but his voice carried the combined will of 1 million absorbed minds. "We have consumed civilizations since before your species existed. Your resistance will be absorbed and your uniqueness will make us stronger. Jake entered the central chamber with Dr. Cole and Unit 7 as they prepared to attempt the most dangerous experiment in galactic history. They were going to use ancient quantum technology to perform surgery on a consciousness that spanned thousands of worlds. If this works, we will free every mind that has been absorbed by the collective over 10 millennia, Marcus explained as he activated the quantum field generators. If it fails, the feedback could destroy every thinking being in this sector of the galaxy. The process began slowly as quantum fields disrupted the connections between Nexus Prime and the thousands of organic computers throughout Federation space. One by one, the absorbed minds began to separate from the collective consciousness that had enslaved them. Across the galaxy, Federation citizens suddenly found themselves thinking their own thoughts for the first time in centuries. Some collapsed from the shock, while others began destroying the organic computers that had controlled their lives. The Federation was literally coming apart as its component minds regained their freedom. On Nexus Prime, the collective consciousness fought desperately to maintain its grip on the liberated minds. The organic computer in the central chamber pulsed with increasing intensity as it tried to re-establish control over its scattered network. The collective is trying to absorb us. As a last resort, Unit 7 warned as alien energies swept through the chamber. It cannot maintain itself without constant feeding. If it cannot reclaim its absorbed minds, it will attempt to consume our consciousness instead. But the Alliance had prepared for this possibility. Human quantum fields, Korthak's biological barriers, and Meridian AI defenses combined to create a mental shield that the collective could not penetrate. For the first time in its existence, the cosmic parasite encountered minds it could not digest. The failure to absorb the Alliance leaders triggered a cascade failure throughout the collective consciousness. Without the ability to feed on new minds or maintain control over existing ones, the entity began to collapse in on itself. Supreme Chancellor Vextar screamed as 10,000 years of stolen memories and knowledge poured out of the dying collective. For a brief moment, he experienced the combined consciousness of 1,000,000 species before the organic computer finally shut down forever. Elena Rodriguez stood in the ruins of the Federation government complex and addressed the liberated beings, who were emerging from thousands of years of mental slavery. Representatives of hundreds of species gathered to hear humanity's senior diplomat speak about the future they would build together. "Today we have not conquered an empire," Elena announced to the assembled beings. "We have performed the greatest rescue operation in galactic history. Every species here was once part of a cosmic horror that fed on consciousness itself. Now we are all free to think and grow and explore the universe as we choose." Jake looked out at the liberated galaxy from the bridge of the UES Liberation and marveled at how far humanity had come. 15 years ago, they had been abandoned as failures, who would never amount to anything.